Hello, stamping friends. This is Jenny from Celebrate the Journey, and I'm here to share with you one of my favorite stamping tools. So I'm hopping with the Stamptastic friends on Sunday, and we're all sharing our favorite Stampin' Up tools. And I chose my paper trimmer. I know some people have done the Take-A-Pick tool, the Stamparatus, maybe the cut and emboss machine. We have blending brushes. We have so many fabulous tools. It's very hard to just pick one. But I know as a beginning stamper, it's very important to have a really good paper trimmer. So I thought I would stick with the paper trimmer, and we're going to use it to make this is not for a beginning stamper. It's for somebody that's maybe been crafting for a while, but I'll try to make it fairly easy for you so that if you want to create a card like this, then you can. There will be a tutorial that you can download from my blog page. So you'll be able to do that, and that'll help you with the measurements because you probably won't remember the measurements as I say them. I have to write them down myself. So this is the kind of card we're going to make. It's called a Trifold card, and this is one that I made to practice with. And it's using the Crane of Fortune bundle and the paper that goes with it. I just thought this one was beautiful. Well, I wanted to try it with some other paper. And so I'm still going to use the same layout and the same paper from the same bundle, but it's the green Crane paper that I'll show it to you in just a second. So we're going to learn how to use our paper trimmer to do all this scoring and cutting all at the same time to make it a little easier for you. So let me get my paper here to show you. We're going to use this paper from the same bundle. It's just the opposite side, and isn't that pretty with the soft succulent greens and the crane? So that's what we're going to use. But we need a card base first, so that's the one that we're going to use this Bamboo Beauty as part of our stamping. It goes so well with the Crane of Fortune, so that helps. So our card base is going to be basic white, thick basic white, and it's going to be 11. Oh my goodness, I have dies in the way. By 5.5. I always have to think about this here. So this is 11, and we're going to cut it at 5.5. Now on the paper trimmer, you have a scoring blade, and you have a cutting blade. It's best if you're cutting, let's see, I don't know that I can cut sideways, but I'll try, just for this one. If you're cutting, start your blade at the bottom, because then that will push your paper up to the stopping edge, and that'll help keep your paper nice and straight, and that'll help keep your cut nice and straight. If you try to cut here, you might drag your paper and move it. So it works best to start from the bottom. I'm thinking here to make sure 5.5 by 11. Oh, I meant to change my blade, but we'll manage without it. Now we're going to turn this. We're going to flip the arm out because that gives us more measurements. Now, if you use inches and centimeters, they are marked on here, and I do believe you can order a centimeter guide to go on the clear side if you are from a country that uses centimeters. Now we're going to put our 11-inch side up against the top edge, and we're going to do some scoring. So we're going to score at 1 3/4, and I'm going to start at the bottom if I remember. 3 1/2. 5 1/4, and 7. So now you have your trifold here. We'll go ahead and crease it. This is another fabulous tool to have, is a bone folder. And this helps to go ahead and crease it right now, even though you're not going to use that part, because you want to see these crease marks, because we're going to use them as cutting guides. So now we're going to put this in at the 5 1/2-inch side, and we're going to line this up 1 1/2 inches at 1 1/2 inches, and we're going to start cutting at the first score line. So that's why it's important to be able to see that. And do you see there's a little line here on your blade? And that's how you'll know that you're at the right place. So there's our score line, and we're going to come down to 1 to the 3rd score line right here, which is, I believe, 5 1/4. There we go. Now, if you're not quite exactly on that line, you can do a little snip with the scissors. That's going to give us our first cut. Now we're going to turn around, turn the paper over, and do the same thing at 1 1/2. We're going to line that up on that score line. We're going to come down to the 3rd score line, which is 5 1/4. And now we have our trifold. Now these are going to, the top and the bottom are going to go in. It's a trick. And then this panel will go to the front. And we'll score that again. Crease it again. We want our creases to be nice and crisp. Now we've got our card base. So we need to do some cutting for our layers, and we'll go ahead and do that while we have the trimmer out. So we need pieces for the side here, and they will be 1.5 by 5.25. No, I'm sorry. That's, I'm a little ahead of myself. We need the black first. We're going to use, we're going to layer this with black. We need to do that first. And that's going to be 5 7/8. By 1 5/8, I believe. We will double check that. That's correct. We need 2 of those. And then here we need 1 that is 3 7/8 by, let's see, the same 5 7/8. So 3 7/8. I don't think I wrote these measurements down. That's what I get for not paying attention. So that will go right there. Now we can cut this. So this is going to be 1.5 by 5 1/4. We can go ahead. That's crooked there. I have to cut that with my scissors. I'm not sure if that's 1.5. It looks like it, doesn't it? This was just in my scrap drawer. It looks a little bit more than 1.5. I'll trim that off. Now we need some little pieces of soft succulent. And they're going to be 1.5. By 1 1/4. And those will be the little pieces that go right here. You don't have to put anything there, but it just gives it a more finished look. So these are going to be 1 1/4, and you need 4 of those. And I think that's about it for our soft succulent and our black. But now we need a piece to go here on top of the black, and we're going to use some of the Designer Series paper. Now, if I remember right, this was 3 so we'll do this at 3 3/4. You see how a paper trimmer really gets a workout here. Now I want this bird to be up towards the top of my of the inside of my card, so that when this fold is here, you'll see that pretty little bird. So then this was 5 7/8. So we'll do this at 5 1/4. Now we've got lots of nice scraps we can use for something else, maybe a scrappy card. And I think we're about ready to start stamping, putting our card together with all our pieces. So we can put our favorite tool, our paper trimmer, that does scoring. What I like is it does scoring and cutting. I don't have to get my scoreboard out unless I feel like it. And sometimes I'll do that, and sometimes I'll use the paper trimmer. So we're going to stamp some with the Bamboo Beauty, and we're going to stamp some bamboo. We can do both of these panels at the same time. We'll stamp that one. You know, I'm using soft succulent, and I think I meant to use soft sea foam. But let me try it and see. Not real sure which one I wanted to use. It won't be hard to clean this off and see what happens. It might be that soft sea foam's too pale or too blue. I don't know. Let's try it on a scrap here. No, I must have done it right. So it must be the soft succulent. Just kind of caught me off guard that it was darker than I expected. But that's okay. Now we can use this one. Sometimes when I do Facebook Lives and all, I'm pretty crazy, so you'll get used to this. I think that's part of stamping, is we talk to ourselves and we forget what we're doing. There's our little bamboo. And then I'm going to put another bamboo shoot down at the bottom. Just a little artistic look there. In the soft, in the Crane of Fortune bundle, there are these cute little dragonflies. So we're going to put some of those on there with basic gray. Just a little hint of color. There we go. And I think that just about does that. And we will work on the rest of it in a minute. I wanted these to all have a little texture. So we're going to run those through the Big Shot. We're going to use the Tasteful Textile embossing folder. I don't know why I said Big Shot, because it's actually a cut and emboss machine, isn't it? And I think we can run all of these at the same time. Nope, we can't. Just two. But then we'll run the rest in a minute. we'll run these through the cut and emboss machine. We're going to use the cut and emboss machine in a minute for our sentiments. And we're going to these 4 on here. And I have a half of a label. You'll see we're going to use that in a minute too. I hope you're not looking at my fingers. I have been stamping all day today, and I have just about every color of ink on my fingers. Mostly, I think my Pacific Point must have exploded on my hands because it's everywhere. Usually it's red that sticks to my hands, but today it was this one. So now we're ready to kind of play with these pieces. We're going to layer this. Don't think we need gray anymore. We will use our Stampin' Seal. Put that on. You might like Tombow, the green glue, a little better. It gets a little more forgiving if you don't get things straight. But I like Stampin' Seal also because it holds so nice. And that's pretty good. And let's... Depends on the humidity also as to when tape wants to stick better than, or if you need the Tombow. It's real humid, I think Tombow works a little better. Alright, those are ready. Now we'll put our Designer Series paper. I love this paper. It's just... I like anything Asian. I've always liked Asian products. So when I knew I had to have Bamboo Beauty and then Crane of Fortune, my goodness, I was thrilled when that was part of the new mini catalog. Okay, now we're ready to put this together. So we'll go here. These little 1.5 inch pieces will go on the pillars. I think that's kind of maybe their columns of your card. Don't worry, we're going to have a place for your sentiment in a minute. Got to have a place to sign this card and write a message. But if you have a really long message, you can always use the back panel here for a longer... You're writing a note or a thank you note. Okay. Now these little tiny ones are going to go here, and I think those will go on with Tombow, just because they're so small. I can get them on there quicker with glue, and then I'll have a little more forgiveness here. Now, I thought about putting the black around these, but I really didn't think it was necessary, so they're just plain with no border. So we could have artistic license with our cards. So Stamptastic Friends are a group of us that met in Great Britain. And even though I'm one of the few, I am the only one from the States. I just happened to be over there at the time, and we did a weekend workshop, technology crafty workshop. And we decided we would just continue being friends. And that worked perfect for me. So I went ahead and cut this label, and it is from Hippo Happiness. I think I cut the, yeah, it's a Hippo Happiness label, and we're going to put that on our flap, our Trifold flap. And we're going to put, your cinnamon's going to go here, but we want it to have that cute image on it of one of these cranes. So we need to get that die out. And we'll see if that one, I think we better go with, yeah, that one should work. I'll just cut that with my snips, and then we'll run that through the cut and emboss machine. Right about as far to the edge as I can get it. I'm afraid I'm not getting quite, yeah, there we go. I think it's going to line up fine. It's tricky. I have to switch plates here. And we'll get that lined up. I think that's the best thing about stamping, is that it is universal. So you can have friends everywhere that you can stamp with and share with, and you don't have to live in the same neighborhood or the same country at all. Now we'll adhere that on there. We'll go ahead and use the Tombow since it's open. And I'm going to put this on with dimensionals. I think we can put them, yeah, on every. Oh, actually, I have two pieces of leftover foam from other projects, and we'll just use that on our foam sheets. That'll give a nice lift. I don't ever let little things go to waste, do you? I try to save every little piece. I don't know if foam sheets are a tool or not, but I sure do love them. I guess they're a supply item. But they're really nice when you're doing layers. You want an image popped up. Okay. And we'll go ahead and put that. We want a little bit of white showing. Look, we want it centered. Now, I wasn't happy about this, so I'm just going to cut it off. And if your image was a straight rectangle or circle, then you really wouldn't need to do that. But now this, I also decided we could use that here. And that kind of finishes it off. It's a little bit too long, so we'll trim it just a tiny bit. I'll have to trim that with the scissors. I think because it was embossed, doesn't want to cut quite as good. And I do need a new trimmer blade. Try to remember to replace that today. So now this just will give it a little more finish, even though that's not necessary. I just had this little scrap here and thought, well, it would work perfect for that. Okay, now we're ready for our sentiment. And I pulled the one from Bamboo Beauty that says, sending caring thoughts. We'll stamp that with black memento. I was holding my breath on that one. And we're going to put some bamboo on here just to dress it up. We're going to stamp off with our bamboo. 1, 2, and then it'll be thirds. So you can still write on top of that, and you're not going to, it won't be hard to read your message or your signature. Now we'll put this on. This is a little bit tricky, but not much. You want it hidden behind here. So you're just going to kind of come across and figure out where that would be. I think that'll be fine. Make sure it's straight. And your card is finished. Now you could dress this up with some polished dots or sequins, but I think it's pretty, just like, I think it's stunning, just nice and simple. So this is called a Trifold pop card, I guess. I'm not real sure what its official name is. So here's the one with the green. And then here's one with the crane with the gold. And see, I put the polished dots on this one. And since this was a rectangle, I didn't have to do any surgery there. And I didn't put paper there because I didn't really feel like it needed it. So 2 cards, same measurements that you can make. And like I said, the tutorial will be on my on my blog page. So after you watch the video, if you want to download the tutorial, it will be there just waiting for you. Make sure you hop on to the next Stamptastic friend and see what tool is their favorite tool, and leave them a comment. We love to hear comments from you. Thanks for joining me today. Bye.